Yeah, well, bet it was special for them, huh? Here to break it all down for you, Mike Fisher from DallasBasketball.com. So did this latest playoff failure that the Mavs suffered, it's only one game, but did it bring back any thoughts of '06 for you?
Well, in many ways, this is as bad as it gets, and not just for the Mavericks. Historically speaking, this is as bad as it's ever gotten. The 23-point lead lost over the course of 15 minutes and 2 seconds. On the other hand, because I don't even believe in the concept of choking until now. After 29 years of doing this for a living, I now believe in it. But the good news is you're not down 2-2. You're tied 2-2.
Right.
And I wrote this on DallasBasketball.com today that, yeah, they are in the gallows and they can hear the hangman noose being tied, but it's tied 2-2. So there's no reason. Let me admit, first of all, I'm an eternal optimist. Second of all, I'm all, because it's Easter, all hopped up on jelly beans and wine. But
good for you.
I don't feel bad about being 2-2 and then coming home for a Game 5, on the road for a Game 6, and then, I predicted Mavericks in 7, so Mavericks in Game 7, they'll be favored by 5. That's a good thing.
So it's living up to your expectations so far. How about that?
Again, I didn't, just like in the Miami thing, the Mavericks were really up officially 2 7/8 games to 0. And in this series, they were up 2 3/4 games to 1. That is a disaster. Now we measure how they recover from a disaster. It is hanging weather out there tonight. Ask Guzman.
Yeah, that's right.
But we'll see tomorrow if the sun comes up.
All right. Well, the sun's going to come up, obviously, and but yesterday at the Rangers game, Michael Young in the outfield doing his sprints pregame. And they're looking up at the big jumbotron, and Michael's just standing there with his hands on his hips. He was just stunned like the rest of the crowd was. And the rest of the crowd was watching it, too. What were you thinking as the lead was chipping away and going smaller and smaller and smaller? Did you think the Mavericks still would have enough to pull it out?
If you're a Mavericks fan and you've gone through this, and it's not just '06, and it's not just Golden State, it goes all the way back to winning games in the teens a couple of decades ago, you're a Mavsochist. Get it?
Got it.
And I assume that Michael Young is
How do you
the
spell
same.
that, by the way?
M-A-V-S-O-C-H-I-S-T.
All right.
It's copywritten. You can't steal it,
Without
Crome.
spell check, even. That's good. Yeah.
That's journalism, baby.
Let's talk about Rick Carlisle. He raised his hand last night and said, point the finger at me. I'm the one to blame for this loss. Now, he sends a note to the media today, or at least the PR people, saying no Mavs practice. Were they really off? Did they not do anything today? Or do they just not want us talking to the players today? I mean,
yeah.
and can you excuse that, giving them a day off like this?
First of all, I completely excuse giving the day off. If you're trying to shield your team from more mental abuse, good for you. I grew up with Dan Reeves coaching the Denver Broncos. That was my first job covering a pro sports team. And Dan Reeves, after a Broncos loss, would always say, my fault. No matter whose fault it really was. So I admire that in a coach. He's the boss. My fault is good. It beats what some coaches around here for the Mavericks have done in the recent past. So I'm all for that. Is Rick Carlisle in trouble now? Here's the thing about Carlisle. Is he coaching for his job? The beautiful thing about Rick is he's been here 3 years. He coaches for his job every day. And that's not just a politically correct thing to say on my part. That's a correct thing to say on my part. He shows up to work and he grinds every day, and there will be all summer long to worry about whether or not he's the right guy. Monday night, he's the best guy.
Yeah, much more with Mike ahead as we're going to break down even more of last night's Mavericks' epic collapse right after the break. Back with Mike Fisher, DallasBasketball.com. What are you hearing about the return of Caron Butler?
Well, I'm a Pollyanna, but I'm not a Mother Goose. So it'd be a great story. Just like the Brandon Roy thing's a great story. It'd be a blast. But I would much prefer that the Mavericks, instead of grasping for that straw, rely on something that's reliable, which is rely on Dirk Nowitzki and quit giving him just 3 shot attempts in a fourth quarter. Nowitzki could have won that game in the fourth quarter Saturday night by himself, had other guys not either tried to do it themselves or went out and started the bus a quarter too early.
Well, Jason Kidd, the first game, he was fabulous. Game 2 still was pretty solid. Then Portland comes around, and they really decided that they were going to put pressure on him the entire way. How much did that take out of his game?
Well, I don't think Jason Kidd needs to score 24 points a game to win Game 5. I don't think he needs to score 18 points a game. He needs to win the battle of BBIQ, as we call it on DallasBasketball.com. It's basketball IQ. And he did not do that late in the game Saturday, where he had a midcourt turnover. He just got pickpocketed late in the game. That just can't happen. The number of times that's happened in his career in a playoff game, it's got to be on less than 2 hands.
Yeah.
And then he lines up for a 23-foot jump shot and shoots at 26 feet. That's not basketball IQ. He's got to be better than that, and it's not about, Dave, it's not about scoring numbers. It's about BBIQ.
All right, on the other side of the coin, though, you got Roy. I mean, this kid came to play yesterday in the fourth. Now, granted, he pretty much did what he wanted. The Mavs did not pressure him. In fact, Tyson Chandler said after the game, I'll take the blame for that one. We did nothing to stop him.
The three greatest Hollywood tearjerkers of all time. You ready for them?
Yeah.
Number 3, Sophie's Choice.
All
Number
right.
2, Terms of Endearment. And number 1, the Brandon Roy story. When they win, he cries. When they lose, he cries. When they tie, he cries. I've had enough of Brandon Roy. Rick Carlisle says we're covering him like an all-star, we're game planning him like an all-star. It really didn't look that way. It looked like they made no adjustments at all and just assumed eventually he wasn't going to bank in fall-away jumpers from 90, and he kept on banking in fall-away jumpers from 90.
Where's Old Yeller on that list there?
That's 4.
Okay.
That's a little before your audience's time. This is a young, hip audience.
That's true. Got to hit the demographic right here for sure. All right, series is tied at 2. What's your prediction? What's going to happen?
Well, this is why, as our old friend Bill Parcells says, this is why you lift all them weights. This is why you play 82 games, try to get home court advantage over the first round or more, try to be a top-tier team. The Mavericks are not down 2-2. They're tied 2-2. It is now a best-of-3 series, and 2 of these games should be at home. So I go for 3 things, just like I did today. Jelly beans, wine, and Mavericks victories.
You think you're going to be 3 for 3? You're at least 2 for 3 on that.
I like my chance. I'm rarely wrong, Dave Crome.
Okay, you're right. DallasBasketball.com. Thanks for coming in tonight,
Thank
Fish.
you. My
We appreciate
pleasure.
it. It's always a pleasure here. You know, it's been a big week, obviously, for the Mavs, but the Cowboys have themselves a draft coming up.